Hello, everybody. How are you doing tonight? Everybody having a good time so far? We are gathered here tonight for the induction of the 2019 class to the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame. And before we get started, I want to recognize a couple of folks that we lost here in recent weeks, former Hall of Fame members. We're thinking about Thurman Lovejoy and Super Joe Wallace, C.A.R.B Hall of Famers who we've lost in recent weeks. Let's bow our heads for a moment of silence in recognition to those Hall of Famers and all others that we've lost here in this past year. Thank you. As we get started here tonight, we have 8 new members of the C.A.R.B Hall of Fame that we're going to be inducting here tonight. And we're going to start off with our first one, Don Burlington. Our first inductee made a name for himself around the drag racing community, but also had a big presence around Kansas City area tracks as a driver, car owner, and mechanic, but most notably an engine builder. Don was around racing his entire life, watching his dad race at the old Lakeside Speedway in Riverside when he was as young as 6 years old. He jumped behind the wheel of his first race car at 16, a 57 Chevy he drove on the street and at the drag strip. Don built motorcycles and raced them before finding his way back to the old Lakeside Speedway when his dad let him drive his car, only to roll the car not once but twice in the first 2 weeks. He would later team up with Don Connors as a mechanic, then back to the drag strip with Wayne Green for 15 years before Wayne's untimely death in 2001. After that, he traveled with Kenny Benso's IHRA Pro Stock team. Don opened Burlington Performance in 1998, building championship engines with his son, Donald Jr. His impact has been felt for over 50 years around both the drag strip as well as the asphalt and dirt tracks in the Kansas City area and beyond. Some of the championship drivers he worked with include Gene Claxton, Jim Hager, Bill Crane, Don Connors, Mike Dibben, Wayne Green, Kenny Benso, Aaron Morant, and Nick Benninger, just to name a few. Ladies and gentlemen, our first 2019 inductee into the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame, Don Burlington. We lost Don in March of this last year, and here to accept this great honor, his wife, Sharon. Before we present the award to you, Sharon, congratulations. I know it's been a tough time here in recent months, over the last year. Don really made his mark. Your initial thoughts about Don going into the Hall of Fame?
He would have been honored. He was excited last year when he was nominated, but this would have been a great honor for him, and he would have loved it.
What is the biggest thing that you think he would want to be remembered as in his contributions to racing?
I think, Don did a lot of free stuff for everybody. And I kept saying, we can't make a living this way. We can't live. And, oh, he's just a good old boy. And everything he did was what he wanted to do in life.
Now, he was, we haven't had too many people into the Hall of Fame that really took part in drag racing. We probably need to get more drag racers involved in the Hall of Fame. But he was involved in just about everything, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He loved drag racing. And then when a real good friend of ours got killed in 2001, Don kind of backed away from drag racing because it really hit him hard. He treated Wayne like a brother. And so he got away from that, went back into dirt track racing, and I thought we're going to be broke. But anyway, he loved both kinds, and there's nothing he would have done. He loved it till his last days.
Any fond story that he would have liked to tell had he been here tonight?
Well, I could tell you a good one. On our 20th anniversary, it was on a Sunday, and he was going to buy me diamond earrings, my first set. And there was a pair of dart heads, and I'll never forget this. Dear, we got to buy these heads, so I had to wait. And he says, I got to use your money for your earrings. And he said, I'll make it up to you. And I just looked at him. I said, what's new? And to engine parts and stuff like that always came first with him, and he was my whole life.
And your whole family's been involved in racing too. I know Lisa been involved as well.
And so is my son, and I think our future grandson likes racing. He's only 4, so he'll be the next generation.
All right, talk about your family is all here tonight. Let's talk about Lisa and Don Jr. Who else is here with us tonight?
My family, my sister-in-law and brother-in-laws are here. This is Don's family. Some real good friends of ours, Chris Rice and his wife, and this is it.
Any final thoughts before we present the award?
No, I think I've said everything unless my children want to say something.
Okay, do you want to say anything, Lisa? Don?
We're good.
Okay, all right. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bob Tillman is going to present the award. Don Burlington. Our second inductee of the evening is Larry Christie. Coming from yet another racing family, the Christies are passionate enthusiasts of all things racing, and Larry is at the forefront. He and his twin brother Lowell started out at a young age getting involved with Larry crewing for his brother before moving on to become a member of Bill Cartwright's team, and then with the Dee Zelmer, who we mourn his loss here tonight as we gather here. Dee would say Larry was, and I quote, the best pit man I have ever had or ever seen. That's what Dee Zelmer said. Larry Christie would later wrench cars for Denny Moore and Randy Martin, who together for a decade enjoyed great success, including their first 360 win at Knoxville and the final win ever on the mile at Sedalia. Larry has been involved for many decades as a car owner, mechanic, race official, and sponsor. He toured as an official for years with the World of Outlaws and also as a track official at the 65 Speedway and State Fair Speedway in Sedalia, Lake Ozark Speedway, Savannah, Bethany, Knoxville, and the old NSCA organization. Tonight, we honor a dear friend of racing and everyone joining us here tonight. Make welcome to our newest member of the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame, Larry Christie. Congratulations. We had you on the radio this morning, and man, you got a lot of experiences over the years. What stands out in your mind, first and foremost?
Oh, I don't really think there's anything that really stands out. Like I told this morning, I said, first thing's my wife. We've been married 52 years, and in the first feature, thank you, the first feature at Knoxville, and then winning the mileage today. That's three of the biggest things in my life.
You spent a lot of years with Randy Martin, who everybody knows. He's one of the great sprint car racers here in this area, and you had a lot of success together.
A lot of success. Matter of fact, let me tell a story on him.
He's here tonight.
Yeah, I thought I might as well burn him on here. We were at Knoxville one night, hotter than hell, and I think they'd had some trouble, blow the tire out on the fender or something. But anyway, he came in for punt laps, and I was standing there, and Ronnie, his brother, was standing there. He got out of the car, and he said, you better do something to this damn thing, or I'm going to toss it over the fence down. And I said, whatever, you're riding in it. 2 weeks later, he did. Not. I mean, it was the mechanical failures what done that. But yeah.
I guess that he's. Are you surprised by Randy's reaction? You tell him that story.
Oh no. Oh, not at all. I got a bunch more, but we haven't got time for them.
You also worked as a track official. You toured the country with the World of Outlaws and another number of other organizations, as well as some of the local tracks.
NSCA, and then, of course, the World of Outlaws, and then I was a flagman for 1 year down at Oots's, down at the 65 Speedway, the little 8-mile track, I think is what it was. Yeah. Seen a lot of country, but I don't know. if I had to do it again, I'd do it again.
Now, what is the most challenging, being on the other side of the fence, being a track official, or being a racer and working on the car?
Oh, I don't know. They're both kind of a pain in the you-know-what, but probably being an official is the toughest job, because you got to make calls that they're not going to agree with you. I'll give you an example. Ronnie Schumann told me, when I went to work for the Outlaws, he said, I know you're going to get cussed and carried on and stuff, but he said, I want you to be friends when we get through. And we was, and we still are. So, I don't know. Just, that being an official is tough.
Let's talk about the rest of your family. Your twin, I didn't know this. Bull is your twin brother.
Sitting right there.
You're not identical, though.
No, I'm a lot better looking. He's older, but I'm better looking. I got Marlon, Lowell, Bear, Kara, and then at my table I got Donna, I got Rob, Richard, the Collins boys, Randy, Evan, and Charlie Pulliam. Oh, I got a story on Charlie Pulliam here if we got time.
Yes, we do have time.
He moved down here in '73, I believe it was. And it's in the winter, and I had my race car out. I think it's in the back of the pickup or on the trail. Anyway, he drove in, and him and his wife Phyllis said, oh my God, Charlie, don't go over and get involved in that deal. 40 years later, we're still going to races.
Let's talk about Dee Zelmer. We lost Dee here in the last couple of weeks, and he had a big effect on your life. Just tell us about Dee.
Dee probably is the one that really got me into racing, you know, to stay. And like I told you, I said, Dee didn't have a garage. We worked on the shade tree. Change the motor, you get under the tree and pull it. But we've done a lot of traveling. Oklahoma, Chillicothe, Bethany, a lot of places. Went to eat in Oklahoma a few times. And Dee just a prince of a man. I want to thank his son and his wife, Bill, his wife, are here. Thank you for coming. But he meant a lot to me.
Any final thoughts here before we put you in the Hall of Fame?
Nah, I don't think so. I think I'm pretty well covered.
Congratulations. Larry Christie, ladies and gentlemen. Bob Baker to present the award. Larry Christie. Harold Habelow. Family is a definite theme here tonight, with Harold Habelow as our next to be enshrined here into the C.A.R.B Hall of Fame. Harold started racing in the mid-50s at JC Speedway in Excelsior Springs. He lived only a half-mile from the track and couldn't resist the sound, and at the age of 35 decided to put his mechanic skills to use from his day job to work on building his own race car. He and his brother-in-law, Glenn Parker, would race together with Harold behind the wheel, and he soon discovered he had the talent to drive. Along with his mechanical skills, victory wasn't far away. As the winds mounted, along came Elmer Lane, and these two, along with the Austin brothers, forged a potent combination with even more winning against some pretty stiff competition like Virgil Chapman, Junior Howard, Bob Williams, Al Baldus, the Wells, Bud Honeycutt, Doc Waters, Jed McFarland, and Irvin Schick, just to name a few. Harold was very popular with the fans, and he earned Sportsman of the Year awards at numerous tracks on multiple occasions. He was very proud of these recognitions. And even though his driving career was cut short in 1962 due to severe injuries from a crash at Olympic Stadium, his family's legacy carries on with his son Phil, grandson Bo, and great-grandsons Dalton and Logan. And here tonight, Harold Habelow is a Hall of Famer, and we honor the memory of Harold, who passed in 1999. His son Phil is here to accept on behalf of the Havilow family. Ladies and gentlemen, our newest member to the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame, Harold Havilow. Phil Havilow, his son, joining us here tonight, and boy, I didn't get to see your dad race, but I certainly heard a lot about him racing out there. Your thoughts about? I know he had to kind of quit early, 1962, but while he raced, he won a lot of races.
He did pretty good. We did kind of looked up some of the past records that my mom kept, and it was at least 41 that we found.
Turn sideways here, and we'll let everybody see.
Through a scrapbook. So there was about 41 of them, I'm guessing, and it was at a lot of different tracks all out to the Midwest.
And what's your biggest memory that you can recall? I know he quit in he had to quit in 1962 that terrible accident at Olympic.
Yeah, a head injury kind of messed him up. That's when they had the older style helmets and stuff. But my best, I don't know if I could pinpoint one particular memory because I went to all of his races and I enjoyed every one of them, and he enjoyed every one. I don't even think he could even pick out one that would set aside.
Elmer Lane and he got together. Just kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly how they got together, other than the fact that they both ran GMCs, and somehow that bonded them, and their relationship took off. And I know my dad really enjoyed the racing once they got teamed up, and they had a lot of luck.
He'd be proud of you and the rest of the family continuing the legacy. It's like, what, 3 generations racing?
That's what we got. And even when my dad quit racing, I could always depend on him to go racing with me. If I needed somebody to ride along, he would always be there.
And he saw you win a lot of races too.
Yeah, he seemed to be pretty lucky.
What's the biggest advice you got from him?
Be patient and never ever give up. You know, not till the checkered flag.
And that's the competitive spirit that it really takes to win races, right?
That's right.
Now, talk about the rest of the family that's here tonight, honoring your dad, Harold Havilow, and a big turnout here tonight.
Yeah, my immediate family sitting at that table. My son, his girlfriend, my 2 grandsons, my wife, Deb, that's put up with all of this all these years, and my daughter, Brianna. My sister's back at the next table with her family back there.
Any other thoughts that we haven't already talked about?
Well, we were talking about when we did this interview. My dad, when they ran at JC Speedway up in Excelsior, the old cars back then, they had the X brace in the roll cage. My dad put a plate back in the X. He had a pet monkey that he'd only do it at practice, but that monkey would ride in that car during practice. It was comical, but he'd get out while they're on the track and climb up on the top of it. And I was mystified, like, how does he stay up on that car in the corners? He'd shed the mud off, he'd sit on that thing, they'd come back in, he'd climb back in the car, Dad would undo him. But one night, I can remember seeing this, they put like the big toolboxes, a 2-man toolbox sitting in the dirt, and they had a couple of spare tires with a chain going to it because they want to make sure nobody rolled off their tires when they need them. But they put that monkey on that chain so nobody would mess with anything. And I don't know who the guy was that lost control of his car. He veers off into, because they pitted in the center. He's going towards the center of the track, right towards the monkey and the toolbox. That monkey, about that tall, he drug all of that stuff, chain took, drug it all off the side, and got away from that car.
Something like that happened now, we'd have video of that.
It was comical. I couldn't believe that monkey drug all of that over there.
That is awesome. Final thoughts.
Racing has been good. He was good to my dad. It's been good to my family. We all know it's a family-oriented sport, and people don't realize it till they're around it. But racing, it's just a good bonding.
And there's no more testament than your family of just what it's all about. A lot of people that haven't been around racing do not understand the bonding that family has and what it means in auto racing.
Yeah, not just friendships alone, because I'm still friends with the Lanes and stuff. I kind of grew up with John and Bobby, but I mean, it bonds people together.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Havelo going into the Hall of Fame, here to accept his son, Phil Havelo. Linda Burke Howell. Linda has always been around racing all her life, and I doubt anyone here can remember when she wasn't involved in some capacity at the track. Born a Burke with the great Al Burke Sr. as her dad and Jerry Burke as her mom, her chart in life was set. She's best known as a track official, but she's literally done it all, from driver, car owner, and mechanic to race official, and yes, even just being a fan. Linda Howell has worked at 16 tracks in Kansas, Missouri, and Iowa. Those tracks include currently I-35 Speedway, back when Olympic Stadium was open, Riverside Stadium, the old Lakeside Speedway, Topeka Raceway, Lynn County Speedway, and I-70 Speedway, all the way to Heartland Park, Topeka, Bethany Speedway, US 36 Raceway, and I'm sure we've left a few of those tracks out that she has worked in. She's worked literally everywhere. Linda Howell achieved groundbreaking accomplishments. In 1974, she was selected to compete in a spectator race at Olympic Stadium. These were the days women weren't even allowed in the pits, let alone being allowed to even drive a race car. She was the first woman to own and drive a car at Riverside Stadium. Needless to say, Linda broke that barrier of women in the pits. Linda's been active in promoting racing away from the track, including the Central Auto Racing Boosters. Her numerous awards through the years is a true testament why she is a Hall of Famer. Let's make welcome Linda Burke Howell as she enters the C.A.R.B Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Linda. We had you on our radio show this morning, Track Talk with the Racing Boys, and we talked about a lot of different things. I know a lot of people that seen you around the racetrack probably didn't know a lot about the early days of when you got involved racing cars, when women weren't even allowed in the pits, but you were there, and you had to be one of the very few, if not only women, to ever go around the track at Olympic Stadium. There could be other women there, but I mean, that track closed when, in 1974?
I don't remember when it closed, but it was quite a deal to be selected. Somebody didn't want their ticket, and I said, I'll go. And a little Carmen Gia running around that little short track there. That was quite interesting to see the racetrack beside me, because all I had was a little floor pan, So it's like I kind of got dizzy there seeing the track go by me. But that started my desire to say, my dad always helped him in the garage, and girls didn't drive race cars. Well, I did, and I proved that I could. With the help of my husband over there, we built my stock car in 1975 and raced with the Casters the first year down at Riverside Stadium. Didn't really like it, and I'm glad I'm where I'm at. My driving experience was not all that. So.
But you'd always regret it if you didn't try it.
Exactly. I had to prove that girls could do what boys could do, and I did.
And it's hard to believe for the younger folks that women were not allowed in the pits back then.
Exactly. I can remember, and I don't know where Zeke is here, but Zeke Young, used to see him every week, and he may not remember me, but I always took all the trophy girls down to the pits for them to go out on the track, did all that coordination back in the late 60s and early 70s, so it was kind of cool to see that Ed Young is finally being inducted into the Hall of Fame as well.
Yeah, Riverside Stadium, we're going to be talking a lot about that, especially in the second half of the program tonight, but it was a cultural place to be, wasn't it? I mean, Riverside was bigger than just a Saturday night racetrack.
It was great. I mean, that's where I met all my friends, the Lanes and the Chapmans and Schicks and the Balduses. I mean, we were all one big family. Everybody kind of kept track of everybody else's kids. We couldn't get by with anything, except my brother over there. He got by with a lot of stuff. But we got told on if we were doing something wrong. But yeah, it was. And I mean, I remember the days with Al Manning. Made it a family thing. Every week he made sure that some woman walked out of that racetrack with a nice corsage. They threw a corsage up into the stands, And that was a big deal for people. And that place was always packed back then.
Now, when you were driving a car back at Riverside, what surprised you the most after you crawled behind the wheel of a race car? Difficulty? Maybe it was not as difficult as you thought it would be, or just what surprised you the most?
Well, I think you felt like you were going faster than you actually were. I think I got in a lot of the guys' way because they kind of beat me around on the racetrack for a while. So, but yeah, you're not going as fast as you think you are.
But you decided on your own, man, this is not for me. I'm going to go score races. How did you get started doing that?
Actually, I did that because at the old Shawnee Topeka Raceway Park, went up there one night to watch, and they didn't have anyone to help Lance Watland score, and I said, well, I'll try it. And that's when I started doing the scoring side of things.
And you literally worked at every racetrack, haven't you?
I have worked at every racetrack in this area, I believe, yeah. Even the little go-kart Thunder Lake track I helped out, I think it was Novotny, or I can't remember the guy's name now, but I helped out down there as well for a couple of years.
Yeah, well, you know, I wouldn't say every racetrack, but pretty much all of them, especially the ones that are closed now.
Yeah, I've been to quite a few. When I was putting my list together, I just couldn't believe how many it really was. I thought, man, if I was putting this on a resume for a job, they're going to say, we don't want that girl. She's had too many jobs.
Now, we talked this morning, there's some tricks to the trade. I'm sure you had a lot of people come up into the town, hey, you scored me a lap down. What are you going to do about that?
Well, I'm going to have to share the same story I told on the show this morning. Terry and Vicki, my husband and son, helped with their race car. And back then, you could go into the pits, change your tires, and come right back out, whether it was yellow or not. So that was a scoring nightmare. And we scored Terry a lap down, 3 of us did. And Bill came up in the tower, and Vicki was in there, and says, you're wrong, he wasn't a lap down. And I had to just say, you know, if you don't shut up, I'm going to disqualify your car, you know. And Vicki says, that's enough, hippie, just cool it, you know. But it didn't matter whether it was family or friends. I treat all the drivers the same.
Yeah, you really don't care who wins, do you?
I don't. And now there's sometimes when there's somebody that's really struggled, I really get excited when they win, but I don't help them win.
Yeah, especially, I mean, everybody loves first-time winners.
Absolutely, yeah. No, this racing has been great. We've been doing this for many years. So.
Now let's talk more about your family. You got your kids helping you out too.
Yeah, my youngest daughter has came into the racing fold. She does scoring with me. I taught her how to score. She said she didn't really want to do that. She wanted to flag, and I said, you're not flagging. So she's scoring with me, and my one granddaughter over there, Kylie, she's been running the scoreboard at I-35 all summer, and Katie sings the national anthem up there. So all the kids are involved, and I got 4 other ones that aren't quite there yet, but you know, they're 4th generation, my grandkids are, for the racing thing.
Now, I've seen you several times at I-35 Speedway in recent years. You seem as enthused and excited about this as you ever have.
I am. I live for racing season. My family, they don't see me once summer gets here. They do not see me because I'm gone.
Now, you've also been a big part of C.A.R.B. You've done a lot of things to help promote racing, too.
Actually, I've been vice president of the Hall of Fame up until this year. My term ran out and wasn't eligible to run again. But yeah, I've been helping out for a while. Not as long as a lot of the other folks, but I would say probably a good 10 years I've been helping out and doing what I can with C.A.R.B.
Final thoughts about going into the Hall of Fame. This is big.
It is. It's great. And I want to thank all the promoters that have allowed me to do what I do, all the race car drivers for not killing me, my family for supporting me, and and that's our future. Those young kids going to the racetrack and doing the things that I have done. They're going to keep this sport going.
And you've got almost your whole family here tonight.
All of my kids are here. I have a daughter that's in Florida. She couldn't make it up, but I've got my daughter, my son, and all 6 of my grandkids, and my younger brother, Al.
Yeah, Al's a big fixture around here.
And sorry, Bill's over there. My husband's over there too. He always gets recognized last.
How's he feel about that? You're better known than he is.
He's used to it. It's over 40 years, so he's used to it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, how about a big round of applause for Linda Burke Howell our newest member of the Hall of Fame, Bob Baker, to present the award. All right, that's our first 4 inductees. We are going to have 4 more to be inducted after dinner, so we will do that. Really made his mark over 36 years in racing in and around the Kansas City area, and he's still doing it. Matter of fact, you could argue that last year may have been one of his best seasons ever. One of the most enduring names in this area is now part of the C.A.R.B Hall of Fame. After those 36 years and more than 200 feature wins, Chad Lyle is among the winningest and longest serving drivers we've ever had go into this hall. And after being not that interested in racing at a very early age, one trip to the track changed everything. His dad, Jay Lyle, who is already a C.A.R.B Hall of Famer, helped get him started that first year in 1982. But after that, Chad was on his own and charting his own path. And boy, what a path it has been. Even open heart surgery several years ago didn't stop him or his competitive drive to win, which he's still doing to this day. Most recently, he claimed the long-awaited first ever track championship at Central Missouri Speedway. That's a place where he'd been wanting to win a track championship for a long, long time. And last year, he got it done. Last July, he captured the $5,000 to win Tom Wilson Memorial. He's also won track titles at Lakeside Speedway, State Fair Speedway, and the old Adrian Speedway. He's won all the big races at Lakeside Speedway, including the Jayhawk Classic, Tim Carrick Memorial, and Sunflower Shootout. He's 3rd all-time in wins at Central Missouri Speedway, and he's won races with the USMTS, and he's driven a late model, one in the MLRA. There's still the final chapter to be written. But tonight, we honor the legacy that's already the stuff of legends. Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome our newest member of the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame, Chad Lyle. Congratulations. Boy, 2018, let's turn so everybody can see here. Central Missouri Speedway, you won that track championship at CMS. That was a long time coming, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. We never really ran for a championship there until last year. We always just kind of traveled and ran wherever the money was. And so we decided with Christine and Richard that they wanted to win a championship. So I said, well, let's do it. Let's go for it. And we did. And that was kind of special.
And to top it all off, that big $5,000 to win Tom Wilson Barbecue Bowl in July.
Yes, that was a good win. I mean, we've won that thing a couple times, and it just pays a little bit more every year, and we like to take that money home.
Richard and Christina Smith, tell us about that relationship.
I drove for them, I don't know, it was like 2008 or 9, and that didn't last very long, and they fired me. And so I got a second chance with them here in my elderly career. And they still believed in me and wish they'd never let me go, actually. So that's what I tell them anyways. But no, so we got together and decided that we're going to try to win some races, and that's what we did.
Now, you originally, I mean, you come from a racing family. Your dad raced. He's a member of the Hall of Fame. But I read where you just weren't all that interested in racing to begin with.
I actually wasn't. I was pretty sports inclined, whatever you want to call it. I really like to play a lot of sports and didn't really care about the racing deal. And Dad just kind of said one night, "You're going with us. Your mom's got stuff to do, so you're going to go." And I think I was 13 or 14, and that just kind of hooked me right there. It's a very addicting sport, as everybody knows in here.
But even though you might have not been that interested, you're always competitive in other sports, right?
Yeah.
And so that carries over to racing. Just kind of talk about how it's important to have that competitive drive in order to do well.
I think anytime you're going to win races, you got that I'm not going to give up kind of spirit. So, and that's what you have in any sport.
Talk about your parents. Your dad, of course, he was a big-time racer. I remember he won the first ever race at the old LA Raceway when it opened up. But Your mom was a big part of your racing too. She was a huge supporter. Your mom did.
Yeah, Mom, she was a big part of it. My dad was a big part of it. You know, just with the guidance that they gave me more than anything else. I mean, there was some financial help there, which is always helpful.
And your brother, he was. What about his involvement? Is he still racing?
He's got a car, and I keep telling him he needs to get that thing out there and race it. I got to drive his car 3 times last year, and I actually won a race up at I-35 with it. And so he's going to get back out. He's going to race. Yep.
Now, you've been at this a long time. You started way back in 1982. Just kind of talk about some of the cars you've driven, who you've driven for. And a lot of it's been your own stuff.
Yeah, basically I ran all late model stuff from the time I started racing. There was a brief year there that actually raced against some of the McAllens in the 4-cylinder class. That was my dad's choice. I didn't like those. I didn't like them. But anyways, so we went to late models, and that's what I drove up until 1999. I went through a divorce and had to sell all my equipment, both race cars, both motors, and the trailers. And I was basically done racing at that point because I didn't really feel like I was financially going to be able to start over from scratch again. And I've just been really fortunate enough that people believed in me, that they came and asked me to drive for them at that point. And so really, I never really owned a car since 1999. I've just been driving for different owners, great people, good friends.
You underwent open heart surgery one time and then got back in the race car. Did you have any doubts that you'd ever get back after that?
I didn't have any doubts that we was going to get back. I think we were back in the race car like 6 weeks after the surgery. And I had a sternum protector that a motocross sternum protector underneath here. And I still thought, man, if you wreck, this is really going to hurt. Because it was still pretty tender. And they say it takes up to a year for it to ever really feel good again.
What other races stand out in your mind that you won, other championships, other moments in racing?
That USMTS win was a big win for us. Winning the Sunflower Shootout up at Lakeside. And I mean, you know, a lot of people go to Lakeside and they watch the late models run now. And I love them. But, you know, there's 30 cars there, maybe 40 cars. Back then, there was 80 cars there. And you were lucky to make the field. You felt good if you just made the field back then. And so that was a great win for me personally. Winning the C.A.R.B Memorial a few times is cool. The Jayhawk Classic, yes, that was a great race. You know, so it's been a lot of good wins. We've had a lot of good times.
Now, you won your share of points championships. Is it bigger to you to win big races or race for championships?
Really, the only championships we ever raced for was the Lakeside. The points up until last year was the Lakeside, and it paid so well there in 2000 when it became dirt. I mean, you can't go too many places and run one night a week and win the points championship and win $15,000 for winning the points championship. So we won it in 2000. We won it. We didn't go back there in 2001 and 2. That's when Clint Boyer won the championships. We were off racing late models. We went back in 2003 because I had to tie Boyer. And so we had 2 championships then, and we were tied with Boyer. And then Tim C.A.R.B tied us 2 with 2. So we felt like we got to go back and get 3. So we went back in 2008 and won the championship then.
Who was your biggest rival? Was it Tim C.A.R.B, Clint Boyer? Who was it?
I'd say Tim's, you know, we race each other every week somewhere most times. So, yeah, he'd be one of the, but everybody there is a challenge. Everybody's there. It's so competitive. It's more competitive now, I think, than it was 10 years ago because everybody has really good equipment.
It's a lot more more difficult to win now than ever before, right?
I think it is. I really do.
So what is next? You going to continue on? What lies ahead in 2019?
Man, I really want to retire. I'm 51, and you know I just want. We're going to give it one more year, and I've said this, and my family and my friends, and they all know just one more year. But really, we're going to try to make this a great one. And me and my wife, we want to we want to retire in the South where it's warmer.
Yeah, after this winter, no doubt about it. So, I mean, it was really tough to step aside when you're still winning races.
Yeah, but sometimes you got to do stuff for the family you don't really want to do, you know. So that's just the way it is. So I'm probably gonna get killed after.
Let's talk about who's here tonight to help you enjoy this.
My wife Renee is sitting right here. I got my brother Clint and Marcy. She's here temporarily, anyways. Gary Fain, which I drive a B mod for every once in a while. He lets me drive it. It's a fun time. His wife Laura. And my pops right there, sitting there, the gray hair, 2012 inductee, my hero, basically.
And your mom is looking down on this tonight.
Yeah, I know she is. Dennis Patrick, right there in the racing t-shirt. He goes everywhere with racing. He's been probably my biggest fan for the last 10 to 15 years. Richard and Christina Smith are with us. That's who I'm driving for, and that's who we're going to win races this year with. Kathy Hemme back there and Kylie. Dave Hemme was with me for 14 years, and I owe a lot of success to that guy right there, because if anybody that knows him or has ever been around our pit for any length of time, they know that that guy is top notch, and he's the best that I've ever seen. And I've been around racing a long time, and I want to tell him, you know, I appreciate everything he did for me, brother. So.
Yeah, you can't do it by yourself, Ken.
Nope.
Final thoughts, what it means for you to be enshrined into the C.A.R.B Hall of Fame.
It's a big honor. There's a lot of people in here that I look up to, have a lot of respect for. I hope to come back and try to, you know, spend time and talk with more people that, you know, their story. Everybody's got stories, and I love hearing them. I talked to Ray Lee Goodwin for a while. He'll tell me these stories I just can't believe, and I'm going like, wow, that's some neat stuff. It's just a learning deal, and I want to be a part of it. So, and I'm glad that I've been invited to be a part of it.
Congratulations.
And I'm honored. Thank you.
Chad Lyle, ladies and gentlemen. Bob Tobin to present the award to our newest Hall of Fame member. Chad Lyle, ladies and gentlemen. The McCown Racing family. Next up, we are honoring collectively an entire racing family. The McCowns span generations. Chick and his brother Wally, along with Chick's sons Merlin and Larry, all played a big role in making the McCown name iconic, not only in Missouri, but elsewhere. In 1965, the McCown brothers hooked up with Ken Taylor, who had already had great success, but grew even bigger with the McCown brothers. They dominated, winning 66 features out of 72 races during 1965 to 1966. That was until Taylor's tragic death in 1966. The McCowns came back to racing after 11 years in 1977 with Steve Kinzer driving their car, and that year was Kinzer's first Knoxville Nationals. Later, Kinzer would win a record 12 Knoxville Nationals, but he got his start with the McCown brothers. The McCown brothers won 400 plus features from 1965 to the 1990s, and that includes the 11 years they didn't race after the death of Ken Taylor. When they returned to racing, some of their drivers include Jim Jenkins, Jay Lyle, and Jimmy Sills. From Father Chick to the foundational support of Wally to Merlin's promotional work and Larry's work ethic, the McCown Racing family is now a Hall of Fame racing family. Ladies and gentlemen, the McCown Racing family, represented tonight by Larry McCown. Larry McCown is, I'm sure you've got plenty of stories to tell. Turn around here so everybody on that side of the room can Can see you. First of all, where do we start? I mean, back in the mid-'60s, I mean, really, there was nobody better. Ken Taylor, the McCown brothers, I mean, you guys that won just about everything.
Our family started really at the Missouri State Fairgrounds. We had push trucks and wreckers out there from the late 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, all through there. We got to know a lot of racers. Our name was on a lot of race cars we gave parts to. You know, the guys, you know, they just gave them parts. And racing is just the background of our whole family. By the way, our whole family is here, I think. There must be about 30 of us here. My nephew, Mark, my cousin, Tom, and his boy, my son, Mike, and my daughter, Sloan, all their families here. Lisa, I mean, they've all been a part of our whole family racing. It's been a big deal for all of us.
How great a driver was Ken Taylor?
Boy, I showed Steve Kinzer his records out of the paper. I took the article to him and showed it to him one time, and he had his mouth open. He said, "Wow, that's something." But let me say something about his competitors then. Roy Hibbard, Bill Oots, Walter Sarles. I mean, these guys were legends in their own time. They were, and they were all great racers. They really were, and I respect every one of them.
And that was so tragic when Ken lost his life. But you came back. Was there ever a question that someday you would come back?
Well, yeah, at that time there was. Yeah, my brother rebuilt the car the next year. He and Charlie Bybee. I helped a little bit with it, paint work and stuff. But those guys, it was hard for all of us to even look at it. But they rebuilt the car. It's now in the museum at Knoxville. I think the second time, but it's been a great experience to come back racing, and I think we all knew we would, but it was hard that in 1966 to look at the car and rebuild it, you know. But my brother and Charlie Bybee did a hell of a job on it.
Steve Kinzer came into the picture. How did that happen?
Well, kind of a funny story. We had tried 2 or 3 drivers in the car. It was a new Steve Stapp car. Didn't find anybody that really fit the bill for the car. We knew we had a good race car. And I called Bob Kinzer one night in Bloomington, and I asked him, I said, we need a driver for a car. And I knew Randy and Steve were just young. They were about 19. I said, we need a driver. He thought I was calling to ask him. I said, no, we'd like to have your son. Want Randy or Steve? And long story made short, what was funny about it, I asked Steve, I said, well, would you like to come? We want to run the Knoxville Nationals, the Western World, the Florida deal, everything. And he decided that he would. And he then asked me, he said, I told him, I said, just get on I-70. And I said, you can't miss us. And he said, now, where's I-70? That's the gospel. You know, I said, well, that's that dual lane that runs through Indiana. So that was his home.
Same road.
Yeah, same road. Same road.
All right, but Steve went to another ride. His Uncle Carl.
We went to Florida with him. We ran the first World of Outlaw race with him in March at Devil's Bowl. And right after that, Elrod, which was his spy in Florida, we ran very well down there and ran second in points to Sammy. And Carl hired him, and that was a pretty good combination.
I mean, Dick Gaines was driving his car at the time.
Made the right move.
Yeah, no doubt. But Dick Gaines was driving his car at the time.
Dick got hurt the year before and was not going to drive anymore. And that's when he ended up stealing my driver. And I told Carl that several times.
Now, later on, there's a story that Carl was mad that Steve stole his crew chief, Scott Gurkin.
Exactly. I was having breakfast with Carl one morning, and he was still mad at Steve. They were not talking. And I said, Carl, wait a minute. I said, you know, you stole my driver. Oh, he said, well, that's a different deal. I said, no, it isn't. I said, that's the guy that was shooting it for me. But anyway, we had a joke over that a little bit. But yeah, he stole him from me.
And that helped them. I mean, they weren't speaking to each other there for a while. That helped them get back together.
I don't think they speak a lot now. I really believe that, and really, I never did understand that. I told him, I said, you guys, what you did together, you need to get back together, really.
All right, let's move forward. After that, you were able to get another driver?
Yeah, we got Jimmy Sills, drove for us, won a lot of races. We've been fortunate all through the years. We've had driver Jay Lyle drove for us, Tom Corbin. I mean, I'm going to forget people, I know, but Jim Jenkins drove, the car after Taylor was killed in it. Won a lot of races in it. You just go down the list. Randy Combs, Rusty Fisher, his son Josh, good racer. Randy raced against those guys a lot. We just go down the list of drivers. I'd have to, I know I'll forget somebody, but a lot of good racers. We've been fortunate, had good crews, people that have helped us through the years that, my goodness, you can't do without them, can you guys? That race, you got to have the good crew guys to help you, and they volunteer their work and time, and you can't do it without them. Just can't do it without them.
Let's talk about the McCown family today. What all you involved in?
Well, really, we promote the races at the Missouri State Fairgrounds. We're trying to bring the old Speedway back. It's been on its heels for several years since Bob Baker left. I wish we could have had Bob Baker stay. We'd still be racing there. And it's a hard deal. It's a hard thing to put on. We're trying to do our best with it. We need everybody's help. If the fair race comes up, come down and help support us, guys. We need help.
Mother Nature didn't treat you well during the fair.
No, they didn't. And we were going to have a good show. Steve had came down to sign autographs and had his apparel trailer there, which would have been a good deal. And we had already sold a lot of tickets, so it would have been a good show. But didn't work.
Final thoughts about what it means for you and your family going into the C.A.R.B Hall of Fame?
It's just very special. And our whole family was just, when we heard about it, that we got nominated, we were just beside ourselves. And all of them, they just said, wait, we want to come. We want to come up. And I wish they could all come up, but I appreciate all of them. They've all raced. They've all helped on the cars. It's just special to all of us.
You want to start listing names, or you fear you might leave somebody out? You have to. You have it written down.
My daughter Sloan and her family: Mark, Faith, Kyle, Kinzer, my son Mike, my wife Shirley. Let me go around the table. Lisa, my niece. That's her boyfriend Dean. And there's Lyle over there, Lyle Farron. You don't know him, do you? Lyle Farron? No, he didn't know him. Rodney and Sandy, I think they were in on getting us nominated to somebody, helped us. My cousin Tommy, Marty, my nephew Mark, and his son Jackson. And I hope I haven't forgot anybody. Paul Hansen, he was on all of our crews helping us all through the years. And, it's just a big deal for all of us.
And it's a big deal to have them all here tonight.
We're in awe of the whole thing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Larry McCown, ladies and gentlemen, the McCown Racing family, entering the Hall of Fame tonight. Congratulations to the McCown Racing family. We have the 50-50 drawing here tonight, and it was a total of $629. The winner receives $314.50. Are you going to draw out of? You're not going to let me do that, are you? Hey, Bob, come over here and draw a name out of the hat. We'll let a Hall of Famer do it. Okay. All right, here we go. The winner, 357,957. 357,957. You're the 50-50 winner tonight. $314.50. That's not too bad coming to the banquet tonight, huh? 357,957. Hey, how about last year's inductee? Bear stock. He didn't know he was going to come to the stage 2 years in a row. Here's the money here. Here's the money right here. Barry, you didn't think he'd be coming to the Hall of Fame stage 2 years in a row, did you? Let's see that. It's your lucky day. Congratulations.
That guy keeps buying race cars. We need it.
Everything helps, doesn't it? Congratulations. Darren Christie, 350, 50-50 winner. Moving along with our Hall of Fame induction here tonight, Darwin Skip Richardson. Our next inductee has left his mark on the Kansas City racing community as a photographer, promoter of Kansas City racing, sponsor, crewman, and racer. He got his start in 1960, helping Cliff Story at Riverside and elsewhere. Skip was involved in drag racing and even drag raced motorcycles for a time. Skip helped his son Michael, who ended up winning 13 features, including C.A.R.B Rookie of the Year in 1994 and C.A.R.B Most Improved Driver in 1995. Skip's contributions most notably came behind the lens of a camera, snapping photos of Kansas City racing's most significant moments at Lakeside and I-70. He was a track photographer at both those racetracks. His pictures have appeared in many different national publications. In 1998, Skip was approached by a group working with the Kansas Chamber of Commerce called the Checkered Flag Committee, who organized a rally to help convince the France family to build a NASCAR track in Wyandotte County. Skip's job was to get local racers to bring their cars to the event, line up vendors, and organize support. The rally was huge and no doubt helped put the France family's decision over the top to build the track in Kansas City. It did happen. Kansas Speedway became a reality. After Kansas Speedway was constructed, Skip worked as a pit tour club member for a few years. His contributions to C.A.R.B are enormous. 25 years ago, he organized a golf tournament to help raise money for C.A.R.B. The event has been significant over the years in helping fund C.A.R.B and keeping it thriving. Skip has served many capacities in C.A.R.B, including president, and currently he is the Blood Bank chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome our newest member of the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame, Darwin Skip Richardson. Congratulations, Skip. First of all, I think a lot of people know you've been through a pretty tough time here over the last few weeks, but you're here tonight. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling a lot better than I was January.
Yeah, pretty tough moment there. You came through it. Looks like you're on your way back to recovery. Well, tell us what this means for you. This is pretty special to you, isn't it?
Well, it was an honor just to be nominated, and over the years, it's been many years since I was nominated, but over the years I'd look at who was nominated and I'd say, well, not this year. But there was a lot of good nominees ahead of me that deserved it way more than I did. And this year I got lucky, finally. And I appreciate it very much.
And you found this out before the heart surgery?
Yes. December 27th, my wife and I went to the doctor and they told me I had a complete blockage in one artery and 70 to 80% in the other one. And they scheduled it for January 4th. We had the operation. I developed a bad cough, broke all the wires in my chest, and had to go in open heart again on the 14th.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad you're doing much better. I mean, so now you're still involved. That's not going to keep you down. We all know you and your involvement in just about everything, racing and promoting the sport here in Kansas City was most important to you.
Oh yeah, very much so. The deal at Kansas Speedway, I don't remember who invited me to do that, but that was a big on my bucket list. And then when Kyle and Patty and Bob wanted to do the Victory Junction thing, my wife and I over there, we jumped in, thought it was a good deal. But unfortunately, the economy broke about that time and it never came off.
Yeah, well, we all remember they had the groundbreaking ceremony at that location out there just off I-70. I remember that.
Yes, they did. They had the groundbreaking, and then they turned around and was going to move it out a little bit farther out on 94th Street. And then it wasn't later on, it was over with.
Now, you were a track photographer. How did you get interested in taking pictures?
Well, I bought me a camera in 1983, and I went out to Lakeside, and I was in the pits and taking some pictures, and some of the people liked them, and so I'd sell it to, and Bill Bruton came down there one day. He was a track photographer at that time, and said, I hear you've been taking pictures down here. And I said, yeah, I thought I was in trouble. And he said, well, I'm looking for somebody to take my place here at Riverside and Lakeside and Riverside. And I said, well, if I did it, I'd be interested in Lakeside, but not Riverside. And I thought it over and got back with him and started doing it in '84.
And you did it for quite a long time.
Yes, from '84 to '94.
What then happened after 1994?
My son started racing in '94, and I got to where I was watching him more than I was taking pictures. And you'll see one of the pictures in the deal there where I'm standing on top of a tire by a pole, and a friend of mine from the Kansas City, Kansas, who was a photographer for him and did sports, took that picture, and he said, the only man it's always on the pole. And so I thought that was cute, but it wasn't. About an hour or two later, he took a picture of my son hitting the big tire there at the end and going into the pits. And that made the paper. My picture didn't.
You've been a big promoter of racing. You've been involved in the Central Auto Racing Boosters. You're past president. You've held just about every position that there is with C.A.R.B. And it all goes back to doing what you did for trying to get Kansas Speedway here. I've always been the believer that Central Auto Racing Boosters was a very important entity in getting that track built here. I mean, they had to know that Kansas City was a big racing town.
Yes, it was. Bob Bremer still is, was the membership secretary, so I invited him out there and set up a booth. And one of our sponsors, Napa, I got them to bring their truck, and I got John O'Neill, myself, and I forget who all bring their race cars out there. And then we went around to all the guys looking for T-shirts, anything racing oriented. And we had so much that we just stand there and throw them over our shoulders to give them away. But yeah, it was a big event and went over pretty good. We only had one protester. He stood outside protesting against the Kansas Speedway. But yeah, overall it was a lot of fun.
It worked out great. And just kind of give a message to young people how important organizations like the Central Auto Racing Boosters is to keep racing alive, and how important it is for this Hall of Fame to look back on the history to keep the sport of auto racing going.
Well, one of the things that's working now with C.A.R.B is the Spark Plug Kids Club. And our future racing is in these young kids. It isn't with us old timers. And I got up and started thinking about doing that. And I was talking to Debbie Bergman, and she remembered when Diana Green used to do the kids club out at Lakeside. So we kicked over a few things. Nothing really went over. And then a little girl come up to me at one of the meetings and said she had an idea, and she gave me this little list of things. We took that idea and we worked with it. And we came up with the kids club. I came up with the name, Sparky, for the mascot. The mascot was going to cost a lot of money So we figured that wasn't going to do any good. Sean Burns took and found a lady that would make this costume, and all of a sudden he sent me this picture. It was exactly like the one, the mascot that I was going to, think about buying. Anyway, that is now the kids join, and they get a Pinewood Derby, and they get to try and race. And in the banquet now, in this past season, past banquet, they had the deal for the kids to race for the championship. And Sean can tell you, it went over real good.
All right, final thoughts about what it means for you to be in the C.A.R.B Hall of Fame.
Oh, it's quite an honor. And the one thing I can say is there's a lot of guys out there that still need to be inducted, still need to be nominated. They're not going to get in unless you nominate them. And this group of Banquet, the Hall of Famers, and on the board, and Karen Darling and all of them, they work their butts off to get this done, but they still need the help of the nominations. And there's a nomination list on every table. If you know somebody, nominate them. I got 2 that I'm going to nominate next year.
Good words. Your family, talk about who's here tonight.
Well, my son in the far back, my nephew Scott, my beautiful wife Carrie, my nephew Sean and his wife Shannon, and then my father-in-law Paul Woodson and his wife Sandy.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Skip Richardson, ladies and gentlemen. Bob Tobin to present the award. And he's now a C.A.R.B Hall of Famer, Darwin Skip Richardson. We are now going to talk about Riverside Stadium and honor Mr. Riverside, Ed Young, our next inductee and our final one here of the 2019 class. Riverside Stadium stood for 37 years and drew attention all around, not just in this area, but around the country. It began as a 1/2 mile dirt track in June of 1951. Just a short time before the city of Riverside was incorporated, and Ed Young was part of helping found the city of Riverside. This first race was held on June 3rd, 1951, and a short time later they made it a 1/4 mile racetrack. Drivers from all around came and raced at Riverside Stadium. From 1951 to 1975, Ed Young and his family operated Riverside Stadium. He continued to own the track after several promoters leased the track. And one person here tonight that's going to be accepting this award on behalf of Ed Young, who passed away in 1999, is Ed's son Zeke, who worked many Friday nights watering the racetrack. Crews would start with the top of the water hose, then on each straightaway, and one end in each turn they would water the track from top to bottom. Trying to keep it wet enough for the racers was always a challenge. On Saturdays, the water truck would come in and start watering the track, and the work began on Monday mornings with cleaning the grandstands, cleaning the bathrooms, and finally walking through the pits to pick up some trash. Saturday night racing began. Riverside was the place to be on Saturday nights here in Kansas City. Thousands of fans would show up, fill the stands on a weekly basis, and it became an iconic facility and also a cultural facility of racing here in the Kansas City area. And that was all to end in 1988. Even though the track is not there, people still have fond memories of Riverside Stadium. And we're here tonight to honor the man who started the Red X store with the advertising slogan, the home of high water, hot fires, and low prices. The Red X store, started by Ed Young, and he is Mr. Riverside, and we're honoring him tonight as the longtime owner of Riverside Stadium, going into the C.A.R.B Hall of Fame. E.H. Ed Young here tonight to accept the Hall of Fame award, his son, Zeke Young. Congratulations. Well, you were a big part of Riverside Stadium. We just told the story about you. You really worked at the racetrack.
Oh, what a challenge that was to keep the track wet. You know, I took it as a challenge. You got to start on turn one, and then you work your way over there. Pretty soon you see it's getting dry. You got to work back over there and get that wet again. And, you know, they talk about Friday Night Lights. We had our own Friday Night Lights there at the track, trying to keep it wet and everything. And then you'd keep watering until the next morning. The trucks would come in. But I know many of you have been there, and I've cleaned up your trash, and thank you for coming.
What was the earliest year you remember?
Boy, that's a good question. I was just telling them back there, the younger I get, the more I seem to remember, but I can't remember what I did yesterday. Yeah, I was in my early teens. I was about this tall. But, I was young. Young.
Anyway, your dad operated the track to 1975. He decided didn't want to run the track after that?
No, I think he just got other things going on, but he knew that other promoters could come in. But, you know, they always ask, how did Dad get into racing? And I'm not quite sure. You know, he started out as a truck driver for the Curtis Candy Company, and then he liked cars. Now, there's this one story about him, and he had a Studebaker. He called it a chicken hawk. And he said he got that thing going across Fairfax Bridge one night, 100 miles an hour, but that's the last thing you remember because the hood flew up on the windshield, and he had to stick his head out the window, and he met the Riverside police. So he liked the cars and all that, but he was a promoter. He was a promoter. We had all types of things. I can remember the Joey Chitwood Thrill Show being there, you know, go-karts, quarter midgets, motocross, the powder puff derbies, the demolition derbies, the mechanic races. He had that stage there in front. I'm sure you can remember a lot of other things, but we had beauty pageants and all other types of things there. And he was just a promoter. He enjoyed the people in doing it.
And figure eight races there too. Talk about that.
Oh yeah, figure eight. Remember that was big and wide world of sports. And of course we had that. And you always wanted to crash in the middle, but those drivers didn't want to run into each other and stuff. But that was always fun.
All right, some of the race cars, some of the drivers that raced at Riverside Stadium.
Oh my, there's too many. I mean, I met several of them here tonight, but just listening to your names, and I'm just in awe and just going, wow. You know, all the names, you know, again, throwing the corsage over the fence at the end of the race is Al Manning, and just, I would forget too many people, but the drivers were just, we had a great show, I felt.
And it was more than just a racetrack, more than a place to race on Saturday night. It was a cultural place to be. Kind of talk about just how this was a way of life for a lot of people.
Riverside was a hopping place on Saturday nights. I don't know, you remember we had all types of filling stations. You youngsters, that's gas stations. But, well, these filling stations, and of course there's Dog and Suds across the street, you know, Fedas, McCall's, of course, Red X. And then around the corner there's Grips and all this. But Riverside was a hopping town on Saturday nights. And even after the races, there was a lot of racing down the main street because we used to live across the street from the racetrack. And we'd hear them peeling out and going down and all that. So the racing continued after the races were over.
Yeah, it was the location of the racetrack what really made it special on Saturday.
That's true. You know, it used to be a mile-long horse track years and years ago, and Pendergast built the roads out there. And so, and then it became the racetrack later on and all that. But again, a lot of things went on in Riverside.
Talk more about your dad. I know after they decided he didn't want to run the track on a regular basis, he became mayor of Riverside.
Well, he was mayor. He was one of the founding fathers, but he was mayor and alderman. Of course, he loved Riverside and always wanted to do what was best for the town. And I can still remember they mentioned earlier about, gosh, we'd be racing until 1 o'clock in the morning. So he'd be getting it. Ed was pretty loud. You know, he could hear him Clever Weatherby Lake and then beyond. So he said, okay, we'll get it done by midnight. And of course, that didn't always work. But he did a lot of things for Riverside. He donated some land. He donated the land where the Argosy is now, but the Argosy's moved next door to it. But he donated the land to get the Argosy to come to Riverside in the first place. It's one of the things that he did.
What's at the site of where the racetrack used to be now?
We call it the Green Mountain. He came in, they filled a bunch of dirt in there, and it's like a mountain. We call it the Green Mountain now.
Talk more about your dad. What kind of a guy was he?
He was a character with character. Dad always had a story about himself. He said, yeah, he was on the Titanic. And when I was young, I was going, you were? He goes, yeah. And as I got older, I figured it out. I said, but Dad, you were born 6 months after it sank. He said, oh yeah, I was a baby. I just floated around till they picked me up. So, Dad always had a story. He would, on Friday nights, I remember we'd go over to the lakeside, but it was real late. And I finally figured out he wanted to wait till after they quit taking admission. We'd go in after intermission to see what the crowds were like. And then, of course, Saturday night we had and then Sunday night we go to Olympic. I'll never forget the night we went there and our tires got slashed. And then we'd even go out to I-70 to go out there and see that. And then I can still remember after the races on Saturday nights, I said, come on, let's go. So we'd go down to the airport, down to the Gilbert's. Remember that? Down there. We'd go down there and eat afterwards. But he just enjoyed being around everybody. But like I said, he was a promoter. I loved it. I had some of the best seats sometimes. In the infield, we had this little platform, and somebody was very ingenious because they put a rotating chair, and you could sit there and just spin around. You're supposed to be a fire person, but anyway, always took a spin on that.
I know Scott and I do the radio shows on Sports Radio 810 and Racing Boys, and there's not very much time that passes by we don't hear about Riverside Stadium. And I mean, it closed in 1988. That's more than 30 years ago, but people bring up Riverside Stadium all the time. Do people still come up to you and bring up the old racetrack all the time?
Oh, yes. And, we got I got Dad's old racing jacket from Riverside Stadium. People bring that up all the time. That's true. And, where else could you go to get entertainment where you go in the races? It's always kind of interesting watching the crowds. And you knew who the experienced fans were because they would not sit at the end close to turn 1 or close to turn 4. Because where else could you go? And you're sitting there and all of a sudden you get ping and it's dirt. And they're all crowding, and you get hit by dirt and you're smelling the fumes and everything. Of course, they all got up and ran into the middle and stuff and all that. But where else could you go but really become part of racing and all that?
All right, what would your dad, if he were here tonight, what would he be saying about all this?
Well, I know he'd be smiling, and I know he would say, be sure to thank everybody. There's so many people to thank. First of all, the race fans themselves. You'd see them come in, with their shirts on and all that, and everybody was so excited about it. Anticipation. Thank the drivers, all of you that made it possible. All of you that made it possible. The pit crews, the scorekeepers, the flagmen. There's just so many people, all of you that were involved. I know he'd want to make sure to thank them.
Final thoughts about what it means to you as Ed Young's son, Zeke Young, who is so involved in what went on at the old Riverside Stadium, what it means to go into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, it's just an honor. I did not realize it. It's a truly wow moment, and I'm honored. I know Dad is honored. I also want to make sure to thank Ed Sanders, J.D. Cormack, and of course Debbie and Karen, of course, the association here. I mean, this is just truly seeing the people here brings back a lot of memories. And again, we thank you. Oh, one other thing you got to remember too, he liked putting on this party for the drivers. And he owned a building at that time. It was called the Rancho. And it had the biggest dance floor north of the river. It was huge. And of course, he did for our store employees, but he also did for the drivers. For some reason, I didn't always get to go to the drivers one because there's some extracurricular activities sometimes afterwards, but they had the band and food and all that, and he just really enjoyed doing that for the drivers.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you, and to thank all of you for making this possible.
Ed Young is the newest member of the Hall of Fame. Thanks to Zeke Young for being here tonight, accepting the award. On his dad's behalf, Bob Baker making the presentation to Ed Young. Congratulations to all of the inductees into the Hall of Fame this year. How about a collective round of applause for all 8 of our newest members of the C.A.R.B Hall of Fame. And I thank you for letting me be a part of this once again. Thanks to Bob Thoman and also to Bob Baker for making the presentations here tonight. And thanks again to all the folks that worked very hard at making this all happen, including Karen Darling and Debbie Bergman and all the folks that made this all possible, the committee. And hope to be a part of this again in 2020. We thank you for coming out tonight.